Happy Monday, guys. T-minus 4 days till the NBA draft. Not the biggest NBA guy, but I am a college hoops Yankee. So I am a big draft guy. I love making mockies with the boys. I've actually been doing that since high school. Weirdly, me and my buddy, huge college basketball fans. Both were actually Duke fans growing up because of family stuff, which made being a college basketball fan very easy. But I remember when Odin got drafted over Durant, our minds were absolutely boggled. Like, we couldn't wrap our heads around it, and have been doing mock drafts ever since. So we got the draft in 4 days. We'll slice up our mock draft into a pizza pie. We'll do first 15 today, first 15 tomorrow. Maybe we'll touch on some feedback and stuff from the community, do some sleepers, yada, yada. But I'm actually excited for this draft because I think it could get very chaotic because so much talent came out the COVID year that this year's got to be like the trade back. Everyone's got to be trying to trade out, right? If you're a GM, you got to be on the horn. Please let me trade back, kid. I'll give you Ben Simmons. Just let me trade back. But yeah, let's dive in. The Pistons at number 1. More than anyone should try and trade back. You need like everything except wherever Sadiq Bey is on the court. But I think you just start at the top. You start with the leader. You start with Davion Mitchell at point guard. What? The biggest knock on him is that he's like slightly undersized. I don't understand people saying he's going to drop to the Warriors at 7. If he drops to the Warriors at 7, that is people need to be arrested. I want war crime tribunals out, whatever the hell, because he needs to go top 3. I think a great, symbolism way to sum this guy up is I was watching previews, an interview of him prior to the March Madness run. And he was getting asked, because he was a leader of that team, like, what are you most excited for, yada, yada. People forget he was on that Auburn team on the bench with Harper, Brown, whatever, yada, yada. So he had some experience already, and he's getting asked what he's most excited about, and he goes, I'm most excited to see Maceo Teague play. He's so excited. We're all so excited for him, yada, yada. He's talking about how he's most excited in this moment where he's about to shine for the country, for his draft stock, for everything, for himself, his family. He's like, I'm most excited to see one of my best friends shine. I mean, I think that's enough. That should sum it up for you. I think Davion Mitchell, number 1. I think number 2, the Rockets have 3 picks. And they're also a team that just needs so much. I think, what happened to the NBA's a potential league? It's the craziest thing. We went from like Greg Oden getting drafted number 1 on straight potential, now Cade Cunningham, whatever, we'll get to him, getting drafted number 1 on the potential of being like, a post-injury Sean Livingston. So it's just, the NBA is a crazy place. We also went from growing up on Kobe to growing up on LeBron. Or LeBron, however you want to do it. But I think the Rockets, you have 2 picks later at 23 and 24, you can use on what's kind of like a deeper, muddled guard section. I think you take the chance on Kai Jones. I don't understand how he's so low in everybody's drafts. What more do you want out of an NBA prospect, especially now? A super athletic, like 6'10" guy, jump out of the gym. He's got a nice shot. It looks nice. He can hit threes. I think it's just really hard to judge all that Texas talent. I assume Greg Brown, Jericho Sims, these guys will similarly be underrated because Shaka Smart doesn't coach. He just puts people out there and is like, for some reason, somehow just gets immense talent, rolls it out there and is like, fuck it up for me. Make me look as bad as possible. I wonder what he's doing now. But it was like, it was just like mush whatever ball, like unbelievable. One of, if not the most talented team in the country. Sometimes it was a Matt Coleman show. Sometimes it was the Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones was sick. Remember Andrew Jones? Dude, he was sick in center field. But sometimes it was the Andrew Jones redemption story. It was just one of a million things. I thought when Kai Jones, when Greg Brown got a chance to shine, they shined in spades. I really, really like Kai Jones. I found myself circling him all the time. I think he has the highest ceiling in this draft, followed by probably Scotty Barnes. But yeah, I think you pair him with Christian Wood, that keeps things spaced. and then you go out and get yourself like an Ayayi late or something. I doubt he falls that far, but that's when you go get that. I think you take the chance on Kai Jones. I think his ceiling is just super, super high. At number 3, the Cavs. I see the Colin Sexton trade rumors. Yes, follow through on that. Whoever will pick that up, maybe the Magic will pick it up. They thought Cole Anthony was a good idea. Sell them on Colin Sexton, and then pair Garland with Jalen Suggs. I think he can get it's like a similar to a Mitchell thing. I think they're both good leaders. I think this draft is low on actual talent, but super high on characters, like character guys, like guys you'll see for a long time in the league winning. But I think you pair Suggs, he's got enough size, you can pair him with Garland. And then, yeah, I think that works. You have the Allen piece, you have a bunch of wings. I think it's got to be funny to me. At some point, the Nets had to be sitting there. I don't know when it was. It probably happened just every game where they're just sitting there like, we don't make the Jared Allen trade, we're NBA champions. Don't make the Jared Allen trade, we're NBA champions. That sucks. But it doesn't suck for the Cavs. They have Jared Allen now. I like those 3 if they put them together. I think Suggs is a pretty clear 3. If somebody wants to flip 1 and 3 based on your preference, okay. But I really, really like Mitchell. I think 4, everybody should be trying to trade out. I feel like if you get a good opportunity. But if the Raptors get Scotty Barnes available at 4, I think he's a perfect fit. Allows you to move on from the Pascal Siakam thing. I understand. It's not the perfect fit for you. I really like him, but not the perfect fit for you. Can't pass as well as you need him to, etc. Like especially off playmaking. Too many of those little runner things. I get it. I've had enough of those too. Scotty Barnes is perfect. I think like upside wise, I mean you could maybe even put him where Kai Jones. He's got the upside of like driving the ball on the break, running transition and stuff. I mean, he could be as unstoppable as like LeBron in those certain situations. I do think that. I think he can be that point forward you want him to be. You can spread the floor, keep your shooters around. All of that. It allows you to keep like the rest of the floor. You move on from Siakam, get some other piece for that. I like Scotty Barnes in that spot a lot. Great fit for them. At number 5, touched on it before. Maybe you get sold Colin Sexton, but if you somehow your whole scouting talent department, everyone watched however much tape there was throughout the season and then landed on Cole Anthony, and we're like, this is the guy, this is one of the pieces we're going to build this team around, then I think maybe you take the route of just going like all G League, all foreign, all like just as limited tape as possible, and you go, let's work as many unknowns into the equation as possible, and then take as much onus off of our recruiting as possible, ipso facto. And we'll just go Jalen Green and then Kuminga if he's available at 8. Because we have no clue what we're doing. I think there's a goose 0% chance that Cole Anthony works. Like in the NBA, I don't even think it's like a backup guard, but there's a 0% chance that a team led by Cole Anthony or with him in the starting lineup is doing anything. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I didn't do a ton of scouting on Green. I see people are high on him. I watched like a 10-minute interview, and I liked what I heard. It seemed like he challenged himself both as like a person, as a player in the G League, whatever. He seems like a mature young guy. I have no reason not to believe I can see that hitting. Maybe something good happens to the Magic and they stumble into it like that because their scouting is sideways, man. So I think Magic, and then take Green and Kuminga, 2 unknowns at 5 and 8. The Thunder at 6. I think this is the kind. Any other draft like last year or something, I can't take Evan Mobley in the top 10. I just can't do it. I think there's a higher probability than not that he flops. But I think you could take it here if you're the Thunder, especially who I think are going to have really good young leadership with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and then probably like Lou Dortonship leading them for the future. I think they'll have really positive leadership. And then they have enough picks in the future where they can go with Mobley and say like, hey, dude, here's Shai. He's going to take care of you in a year or 2 when your brother, the real dog, Isaiah Mobley, I want him on my team. I don't care what GM I am, whatever. That guy is going to be around the NBA for a very long time as a winner, a leader. I love Isaiah Mobley. But you promise him. You pull Evan to the side and you say, I promise you, dude, Presti, whoever it is, I promise you he'll be your brother will be joining you soon. Just play hard, whatever. I think, and then it'll allow him to alpha up a little bit behind Shea. Mobley for me, I think, for a bust potential. I think he's really high in terms of bust potential just because I think he's going to need a really strong locker room behind him. I don't think he's like assertive alpha enough to play with the position he's going to need to play in the style of ball he's going to need to play in the NBA. I think he has huge flop potential. But I think the Thunder can take the risk here at 6, especially because I'm so high on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as a leader as well, and just being tough. Like, that reverberates throughout the team. At 7, I think the Warriors are in a really interesting spot. I didn't realize that Steph's 33. Draymond's 31. The Klay Thompson thing, I mean, who knows what's going to... It's like the saddest thing ever, because I think Klay Thompson, like, if I'm building a team from scratch, and this is like, when Klay Thompson's playing, I think he's like a top 3 pick on that, because you put him in there, the efficiency on offense, how little he needs the ball, it just makes everyone better on both sides of the ball, because he barely needs it on offense, and then it's an on-ball defender, whoever you need him to guard on the other side of the ball. It's like a tragedy to me that it's not going to be like more widespreadly just like accepted, known, whatever, that I feel like he's like a top 3 player in the league when he's playing. Klay Thompson's so freaking good. But I think you owe it to Steph, you owe it to Draymond, whatever. You're shooting for like a win now mode. Let's get Steph 1, 2 more if we can, right? So in terms of win now, I think we can get two of the following: Wagner, Moody, Cade, or whatever, we get to it later, but even Herb Jones as for the second pick if things run out. I think Wagner's a great pick. He's gonna do the Iguodala stuff, right? He's gonna do all the right things. His shot's better than the numbers. He's a super hard worker. He's gonna make the right plays. He's gonna be tough as shit. I think I could see Draymond being like, oh yeah, I freaking like that kid. He's like my sidekick. Yeah, I think Moody would be a great selection. But I think they're going to see too much, probably like Wiggins in it, and be like, he's probably not like the 36% shooter or whatever he is in college, which I don't think Moody is either. But I don't think that's what the intangibles he's going to bring. I think he's going to be very similar to like a Wagner, where it's like do all the right things, the grit, the toughness, make the right plays, don't be selfish, push your teammates forward, hit big shots when you need to, make all the right plays. I think they're going to be very similar in that regard. And then Cade... I don't know, it's tough because it's really hard for me to put Cade in my top 10. It's like, I don't understand. We're all walking into this together. Like, we're like walking into the fire. We're like, Cade is post-injury Sean Livingston who ran into tons of trouble when he faced elite athleticism in college. But he's super confident. We like him, he's stylish, whatever. I mean, it's hard for me to, if you need to take Cade here because you have the experience with Sean Livingston, you're like, I need a backup point guard that's like NBA ready to run some kind of thing with the least hiccups. I want to get Steph another championship. You feel you need to take Cade at 7, and you can get Wagner. You're not going to get Moody at 14, but then, and you're like, oh, if I don't get Wagner, I'll take Herb Jones. You have that plan. At 14, I can understand it. I can't take Cade any other way. He ran into so many issues with athleticism. He doesn't have an NBA body. Either does Book Knight. I don't understand how you take these guys top 10 to like possibly run your backup unit someday. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like, they're not Tyrese Halliburtons. They're like poor man's Tyrese Halliburtons, and you guys wouldn't take Tyrese Halliburton up there. I get it's a much different draft, but it's potential or it's not potential. We can't just be swirling all. It's not a swirl. It's not like the chocolate and the vanilla, we mix them all together. I love a good swirl, but this isn't a swirl. This is a draft. We got to pick a strategy. So I'll take 2 with the 7 and 14 picks. I want 2 of Wagner, Moody, Cade, or Herb Jones. And I think you can make that next. If you can't get the Herb Jones, can you get to like a Robinson Earl? And then we can push to that next. But fundamentally sound, really hardworking players that are going to be like unbelievable role players is what you need to draft if you want to make that win now push. The Magic take Kuminga, another unknown with their 8, 9. I guess super interesting for the Kings. There's a couple different, because I think there's a couple different routes they can go. I would love for them to take the Sengun, because I think that would allow them to maximize the pieces they have. I'm unbelievably high on Tyrese Halliburton. I think you need to maximize his impact on the game. So we lower the number of possessions, we slow it down, we limit all the other teams' offensive reboundings with like Bagley on the court. So we bring in a big guy, we have Holmes play the 4, and then we just play super slow and we maximize Halliburton's impact. That's what I think that's your best chance at winning. I don't think they're going to do that. Maybe you can draft the Garuba as like a backup for Holmes, so he can be more effective. I don't think you can really play him together with the floor spacing. But if you're going to draft a guard, I see people pegging Moody here. And as we talked about before, I just don't think the shooting is going to necessarily translate. I don't know if he's that good a shooter. I think he's going to be a guy like Herb Jones we're going to talk about, where like later you just look back and you're like, damn, man, those guys won a shitload of basketball. They do have a lot of titles. I know, man. So many rings. Who would have seen it coming? But I don't think it's necessarily shooting. I think you might end up with a situation where you have like Fox, Halliburton, and Moody, and you're like, shit, I just don't have enough shooting, and I don't want that to be what ruins it. Maybe this is a spot where they take the Giddey kid from Australia, right? He's a little bigger. He's a little more NBA ready maybe than Moody. He's like 6'8". You can convince the coach, like, do we need Bagley on the floor? And that creates some questions there. Maybe get a little flashbacks of the younger Bogdanovich. I can see them taking Giddey. I can see them taking him in that spot. The Pelicans, I think this is where Moody fits, right? As the leader, as that tough guy, as the guy bridging between Lonzo. And think about how long and good defensively you'd be. Moody will be the actual leader of the team, and Ingram he'll allow, because he's not selfish, Ingram to be that alpha shine, dominate the end of game situations. I think Moody's actually a perfect fit for the Pelicans. If you want to go look at Duarte or something too, I don't hate it. If you don't, I think the Hornets at 11 go with Duarte. Next to, you have your ball handlers of the future, right? You're going to have LaMelo, and then Devontae's going to run your backup. You need that like Klay Thompson-like thing if you're going to do this, right? That's the problem with the Hawks, is that they're trying to run like a Trae Young without a Klay Thompson. I mean, the Trae Young might be the issue overall, whatever. It's not the Hawks' time. But, you need that. I think Duarte is probably the closest thing to like the 3-and-D proven threat in this draft. It's a weak draft. So I think the Hornets go there. I can also see them going with the Garuda guy. I actually like that. Like if you put that Garuda guy with what he can develop into as like a super defense, rebounding, keep it switchable with him and PJ Washington and that whole thing, I think that could get cool. But I think Duarte probably makes the most sense for the Hornets. The Spurs at 12, this is who we probably end up going with the Sengun. It just makes sense, right? In San Antonio, you get the foreign big man, you got the 4 wingy, amorphous-y type things flying around on the edges of pterodactyls. I think he's your Tyrannosaurus Rex, right? It makes sense. Oh, I just came up with that. That's not written down, the little dinosaur thing. The Pacers. I had an interesting time with that 13 because there's so many spots where it's like Wagner fits perfect, these other guys fit perfect, but that's who you see in mock drafts. If you want to perpetuate the same like unathletic crux or whatever that's going to kill the team, like you're not going to win with like a Brogdon, Holiday, LeVert, whatever backcourt with like Sabonis also on the court and T.J. Warren, and people are worried about Doug McDermott leaving. It's like, dude, get some of the unathleticism away. I think you need the shot to the system. I think you draft Cooper. I think you take the high upside, you get somebody buzzing around, you just completely change it. You can play Cooper with Brogdon. You can play LeVert with Brogdon. You got some trade chips, but I think like this is the kind of team where it's like it's a fundamental issue, like the CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard backcourt, where it's like, let's just break this up now. Do you want to go down like 3 years of this, or you want to break it up now and then let's do it later? I'm like, instead of bringing in like Sumner or whatever, because you need that athleticism, let's get someone that like has a super, like let's take Cooper, man. He's super undervalued in this draft just pure athleticism, talent, whatever wise. He didn't really get a fair shake of it because he played like whatever, including practice time early in the season. He probably played like half a season, if less than half a season, by the time it was said and done. So Cooper at 13. 14, the Warriors end up taking whoever it's not, right? So I want 2 of Wagner, Moody, Cade, or Herb Jones. I think Herb Jones, man, people are just sleeping. So I don't see him in first rounds, which makes no sense to me. He's like, he can do like the point forward thing. He plays unbelievable defense. He can rebound. He's a great winner, team player, leader. I don't understand. Herb Jones is going to be starting or playing like 6-man minutes, something. He's going to be playing very crucial roles on a team soon. It's not going to be like however many years to develop. It's like next year you're going to see it. It's like going to be like a Monte Morris thing where you're like, oh, okay, yeah. 15. If you can't get to one of those guys, and you can't get to Herb Jones, let's take like a Robinson Earl. We just fundamentals. Let's have guys that work well with the vets we have and push them over the edge, not like a Wiseman or Wiggins or something. I want fundamentally sound. 15, the Wizards. It's weird when you look at this roster, right? Because I think they need a bunch of things as well. You can go with like a toughness. No matter what position it is, I want toughness. I want somebody where like Rui Hachimura doesn't have to look like he has like the little like whatever like beta face on all the time. I want somebody that like, I want them to draft Bones Highland. I want them to walk him over to Gilbert Arenas' old locker room. Maybe like if they still take all the weapons out, whatever, be like, clear it out, and then go like, dude, this is your team. You're going to be the emotional toughness. Anybody gives you any shit or anything, just take the back of the head, slam it into the locker like we're in 8th grade again, and let's get a little something rolling. Like Russ comes in with a little too much flair that there, something slapped the fedora off the back of his head. Something like that, but let's get some toughness going. Bones will do it. Bones don't give a fuck. I like Bones for no other reason. He's like the toughest guy I think left in the draft. And I think just that team, that's what they need more than anything. It'll pay off in spades. And worst comes to worst, you got yourself like a Jamal Crawford or something. Something like that moving forward. We will get to, I think that covered everything for the top 15. You'll move on to the next 16 through 30 tomorrow. Throw out like, I think I'm going to end up on the Angels tomorrow. I took some like, it dipped down until like minus 151 or something, and I grabbed a little bit earlier. I don't know, I've been so wrapped up down the Art Blocks rabbit hole. We are truly in the age of asymmetric investments. Hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Monday. And yeah, we got a big week, man. I got a little brother coming in, little sister coming in. Everybody's coming into town. So yeah, Dino's back, got cleared. He's back out and about and moving. Yeah, we'll see everybody. We'll talk tomorrow, 16 through 30 tomorrow. If anybody wants to touch on anything specifically draft related, I'm gonna do like a sleepers day, something like that, where we'll touch on like a Moses Wright, some guys like that. But anything else, let's yawk about it. I love this shit. I love nerding out on this. Have a good Monday.